change. I literally began to change my life by changing the people around me, because it was changing the energy around me. It was changing the things that I was listening to all the time, which is what is necessary. Two things are necessary to change the belief system, which is where, if we take this back full circle, what we're trying to do is change our belief system. So when we do that, it's the voice inside our head. What do we say to ourselves all the time? And we've got somebody who needs to be muted there. Can everybody mute, please? So the voice inside our head, and then the voices outside of us. What are we listening to? I see people who listen to the news constantly all day, and they wonder why they're depressed. I mean, it's a pretty easy answer. What are we putting in? What do we listen to over and over and over again? Because that becomes the groove in the record of our unconscious or default mind. You know, we still have some people who need to be muted there. And so whatever that groove is, that record plays over and over. And remember that beliefs are nothing but a group of thought habits. What do we think about over and over again? It becomes a belief. Your belief will create your behaviors. Your behaviors will create your results. And then it's self-affirming. So please pay attention to that. And here's something that I would personally do, and you can do that on your phone. I've got it in writing on the slide here, but on the phone, I don't know how many of you use a journal sort of app, but there's a lot of free ones out there. Sort of keep a thought catalog. When you recognize that you are consciously thinking about what, or consciously aware of what you're thinking about, write it down. Just talk to your phone and say, at this time on this day, thinking about this. Give it a date and a time. Here's what I'm thinking about. And what you'll find is, number one, you'll find it very difficult in the beginning to even make the time to write things down like that. You'll also, if you think about it later in the day and you're going, you know, I never did write in that journal. Part of it is because we probably never stopped long enough to become aware of what we were thinking about. So that awareness of our thoughts is just really huge. And I got this out of, speak of Jack Canfield. This was a Jack Canfield book. The first Jack Canfield book I ever read was The Aladdin Factor. And The Aladdin Factor, just what it sounds like, the genie in the lamp that'll bring your wishes to you, right? The number one thing I got out of that book, I can almost tell you, I can go down the books that I have and I can say, this is what I got out of that one. This is what I got out of that one. Now there might be 279 pages. I got one message that stays.
Hey, we're back in.
I got one message.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So thank you for being my reference.
Wendy, you can go ahead and mute yourself, Wendy.
All right, we good?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so what I got out of this particular book was, whenever I catch myself in a thought process that is not in my best interest, it's creating fear, it's creating worry, it's creating anxiety, it's creating negative feeling, it's creating anger, whatever that thought is, I have the ability to recognize it and say to myself, cancel, 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 and think of something positive. I'm going to tell you something. I read that book in the 1980s, and I still use this strategy to this day. And I have taught it to more people than you can ever imagine, because we can all get ourselves out of that negative snowball or worry snowball, depressive snowball that happens in our minds. And here's something that used to happen to me. Literally, I would be driving home from work and I'd be in just a good mood, singing along with the radio, and I'm la, 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 la. And all of a sudden, I don't know where it came from, but this little thought or vision of one of my kids getting hit in the head with a swing and hurt or something would happen. And that thought would hit my head. Now, before I learned this, you know what happened with that thought? That thought would blossom. I would think about it and then it would get worse. Oh my gosh, now the kids in the office with the nurse's attention, now they're calling me to tell me that my child is hurt. And it would snowball. And it's like, if we have someone, a loved one who isn't home on time, and we're disappointed at first, and then we're angry, and then we're worried. And then when we get worried, then all of a sudden it blooms and we can, oh my gosh, now we can see this awful thing that's probably happened. And then that gets bigger and bigger. And that's what our heads do to us. And let me tell you what our minds can do to us. If you think about, you wake up from a nightmare and your heart is racing, you're sweating, you've got like maybe the stomach flip-flop thing going on. And all it is thoughts. Thoughts change our physical being. So to catch that thought when all of a sudden I'm like, la, 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 and then all of a sudden Richie got hit in the head with a swing in my head. Where did it come from? Who knows? I don't know. I'm human and it still happens. But now when it happens, I'm like, where did that thought come from? Cancel, cancel, cancel. I replace it with a positive thought that puts me back where I need to be, in a place where it keeps me physically healthy, mentally healthy, and moving in the direction that I choose to go. Not the direction those unbelievable, random, awful thoughts do to me. So I've got this great story. I was getting PT after my shoulder surgery, and my physical therapist's name is Paul. Great guy. He had a 3-year-old daughter, Ellie, and he had twin boys that were, I think, like 7 months old. And so I was always hearing stories of his life, right? And the kids. So one day he comes in, he's working on my shoulder. I'm laying there. He said, Jackie, he said, I need your help. You're a coach, right? And I said, yeah. He said, I am having such a problem. He said, Ellie has always been the easiest child in the world. She was an easy baby. She was an easy toddler. She's a wonderful little 3-year-old. She's wonderful. He said, but just in the last week, she doesn't want to go to bed. She's afraid of her room. And when we put her in a room, she starts crying uncontrollably. She won't let us turn off the lights. She won't let us shut the door. She cries that she's scared. And I don't know what to do. He said, it's breaking my heart, but we can't let it go on. And she's waking the twins up and nah. And I said, well, do you have any idea where she got the thought that her room would be scary? He said, I don't know. I said, if you ask her why she thinks her room is scary. He said, no. He said, I'll do that. So we talked the next day and she just monsters. So where she got that, a book, a movie, who knows where she got it, but it was there. And for her, that is real. That's what we need to understand about people. I mean, it's really, when I study this stuff, sometimes I catch myself wanting to judge another person who is constantly caught in negative spiral downward. I can't judge that. What they're thinking is real to them. If they choose to change, I can help them learn thought replacement. But if they don't choose to change, it's just their choice of thought, right? But I know for me, I can replace and I can teach somebody else to. So as Paul and I were talking, I said, well, okay, so she got it from somewhere and you need to understand it's real. And when she gets scared, her fear is real because she can feel it in her body. She gets probably the goosebumps. She probably gets, and I said, so what you can do with her is try to help her replace the thoughts. So she's plenty old for her to recognize when the scare thought hits her. And when it does, teach her to say something that will put her in a safe place, that will help her feel safe and maybe go to sleep. So this is what they taught her. They said, Ellie, whenever you feel scared, you just say over and over again, my bed is safe. I lie down and go to sleep. My bed is safe. I lie down and go to sleep. They rehearsed it with her over and over and over again. Within about 3 nights, Paul came in, gets my elbow cranks my arm up like this, and he goes, thank you. He said, it worked. She is convincing herself she's safe instead of convincing herself she's scared. He said, I can't believe it. He said, it's working. So, and I don't care how old somebody is or how young, we can replace thoughts, but you can't replace it if you're not aware of it, which is part of the purpose of the thought journal. Now I'm going to introduce you to this Joe Dispenza. and several books here by Joe, the Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, The Biology of Belief. These are fabulous books that will help understand this belief system thing, because again, if we go right back to the beginning, if we don't change the belief, the behavior will only change short term. And this book right here, can you all see this? You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. Now, Joe Dispenza is a guy who was riding his bike. He was a bike rider. I'll keep holding that up while I talk. So in case you wanted to take a picture or something of it. Joe Dispenza was a bicycle and an avid rider. And he was, I believe it was San Francisco, and he was in a race in San Francisco. And he was coming around a corner, and there were policemen. You know how they do when the bikes race and the policemen are there to bring the bikes around, stop the traffic and stuff. They told him to come around the corner. He came around the corner and a car hit him. Make a long story short, he was hospitalized with almost every bone in his spine and back broken. And the doctors told him that he would not ever walk again. And the surgeons wanted to, I can't remember the name of the procedure, but it was put 2 steel rods down the back of his spine that would at least support him if he was on a walker or something like that, that maybe he could be upright. And he decided he didn't want to do that. He wanted to walk. And he went on a mind over matter kind of thing. And his story is unbelievable. His books are unbelievable. And this You Are the Placebo is just an amazing, amazing book about how people who believe, you know what a placebo is? It's a sugar pill. So they give 2 people this pill, and one's a real pill that will cure them. The other one is nothing but a sugar pill. They give them to people, and the people with the sugar pill thinks it cured them if they told their mind it would. So You Are the Placebo is the book. Whatever we convince our mind of, our mind will go and behave in a way that will make that true. And then our results will prove that it's true, and our belief deepens. It's a cycle. It is a cycle. So I encourage everyone to write a new story. What do you want? What ending do you want to your story? This book isn't written, it's yours. Write the end of the story, and then create the storyline, live with intention, and focus. Follow that one course until successful. We are living in a world of what I call whack-a-mole. If you've ever gone to a fair and you're like, whoo, doo, 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 that's what we do. And it's very hard, really, for us to take maybe 1 or 2 things in our personal life, exercise, eating healthy, whatever that is, 1 or 2 things in our business life, making calls, writing notes. Take those things that you know will make a difference and focus on them. Pay attention to the intention, and it'll all come around. So sorry for the interruption in there in the middle, but hopefully we got everybody back and we could finish this. Aim, pay attention to your intention, and get that mindset where you can totally master your mental side of things and replace your thoughts when necessary. We all have it in us. We are beautiful people with beautiful opportunities and beautiful futures.
Thank you, Jackie. How about a nice virtual round of applause? I don't know if you have any time for a little bit of Q&A. Do you, Jackie?
Sure, of course.
Anybody out there want to open up their mics and just ask Jackie a question?
You want to come over here?
No?
Oh,
Let's see
Nancy,
here.
I asked you to unmute and I didn't mean it. Okay, Aquino.
Okay, I have Rose Jang with me. Rose, just come over here. Come to my computer. Okay, so I'm in my conference room. Here we go.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for your amazing presentation. I just wanted to ask you about that course, because you said that like follow one course, right?
Yes.
don't quite understand what that means. If you can give like any example, that would be awesome.
Sure, I can. Follow one course until successful. Let's say that you have decided that, we'll go back to an easy real estate example. My thing was 5 calls a day, 5 note cards a day, 5 days a week. That was a course that I knew if I followed with my database, I would absolutely know the people in my database at a deeper level. I would know when change is happening in their life. I would be their go-to person when their friends or family needed real estate. So that was my strategy. And so that became my course. If I follow that course until I've built my database up where they're really contacting me, and I'm building that up to where that's 80% of my business, that's awesome. Now, am I going to drop it once I follow it, once I'm successful? No, because I know that course works. So follow one course until successful means stay with what you know will work. Weight Watchers. If I stop writing it down, I mess up. I know writing it down. Follow one course until, so it's not, it's sort of like the just one thing. If you've read that book, or Billy Crystal in the, what was his City Slickers, the cowboy movie. And the guy was saying to him, the secret of life, it's just one thing. And Billy Crystal kept going, but what is the one thing? What is one? He said, no, you don't get it. It's just one thing. Well, when you read the book, Just One Thing, or you think about City Slickers, it sounds like you should just do one thing. Who in this real estate world right now can honestly say that you can do just one thing? I mean, we can't. We're closing deals, we're listing properties, we're showing properties, we're putting out fires, we're taking care of inspection, we're managing our family. We can't do one thing. But whatever one thing you are doing, make sure that that one thing is leading to your success. And only pick, it's that 80-20 rule. 20% of the things you do give you 80% of your income. Pick the 20% and focus on them and do them well. Does that help, Rose? It's whatever strategies you have.
She said, yes, it does.
Okay, good. Good. All right.
Awesome. Any other questions? The beauty of having a small group is that we can, ask the questions that we want to ask and have some interaction. Anybody else? Oh, Daryl Macha and Mary after that.
All right.
Hi,
Daryl.
Jackie. Daryl here. I may have missed it, but you talked about The Secret, love the book and the movie. You said there was one thing missing, and I might have missed that.
Yes. So the one thing I think was missing from that was action. I think that the book and the movie portray the fact that you can think something into existence. And I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but I will say I believe it's not the norm. I think the norm is you still have to work at it and think it and visualize it. So affirmations, visualization aren't enough. Take action along with it. So that was my addition.
Got it. And yeah, I picked up on that, when reading that book and watching the movie. Definitely action is what is needed from the affirmations as well as visualization. So I always put it out to the universe, but you got to work hard to get it too. Exactly.
Okay. Mary Brashear.
I just wanted to thank Jackie for bringing up Howard Britton. And it also reminds me of Rick DeLuca, and I'm just drawing a total blank on the other gentleman who was so meaningful for me. But Rick DeLuca taught me the trick of when you're going to send out a mailing piece, stand next to your trash can and fling it in the trash can and see if it catches your attention. If the piece doesn't catch your attention, redesign it because it wasn't a good piece.
How interesting is that? That is great. What would be fun is to come up with the best tip you got from some of these instructors. Like, what did you learn from Jack Barker? And what did you learn from, Walt Fry? And what did you learn from Howard? And oh my gosh, that would make a great meet and greet thing.
You're right. Yeah.
I love that, Mary. And having said that, let me give you all a tip I learned from a young realtor that I was like, I can't believe I didn't think of this on the mailing to make it interesting. They call the mailing the 2-second touch because they pick up the postcard, they look at this side, they look at that side, they throw it away. It takes about 2 seconds, 1, 2, toss. If you want to double their attention, if you're doing postcards, do one side of the mailing horizontal like this, landscape, right? Do the other side portrait like this. And then they pick it up and they read this side and they turn it like this and they go, and they have to turn it like that. And they spend twice as much time with it before they throw it out.
That's good tip. I see Aquino's got somebody over there with a question.
Yes, I've got Leslie Lewis with me. Can you come over here? Sorry.
A quick question, if you have any tips on prioritizing.
Oh, I sure do. Anybody who's been in my 2-day classes could tell you how we prioritize their to-do list after a 2-day class, because a 2-day CRS class, you come out and your head's going like, oh, I mean, you just have so much in it. So every time we go on a break, and Mama Joan, you can attest to this, every time we went on a break, we came back and here's what we did. We wrote down the things you wanted to take action on. Okay. They just went on a list and we did them randomly. So I wouldn't put them one after the other, because your mind will subconsciously prioritize it for you if you do that. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just write down the things you want to do or need to do. And then play those off. And I would do this on paper more than I would ever do it on a computer. It's very powerful when you do it on paper. Put a bracket between the first 2 things you need to get done and play them off like a baseball game or a wrestling match, and say, if I could only get one of these 2 things done today, which one will make the biggest difference in my life and which one is most realistic for me to get done today? And that, you know what I mean by draw a bracket and then a line. The winner comes out here. So you've got 2 things and now you've got 1. Then you go down to the 3rd and 4th thing, do a bracket. If I could only do one of these 2 things, which is most realistic and which one would make the biggest difference in my life? That comes out. You do that all the way down your list, and now you've broken your list in half. Do it again until you come out with your just one thing that you can then focus on, and then work backwards, because none of us will ever get our entire to-do list done every day. It can't happen, not in our business. So you really, prioritizing is really important. And for me, that has been the best way. And by the way, I got that idea from a book by Kevin McCarthy, and it was called one of 2 books. It was either The On Purpose Person, very short little read, or it was his sequel, The On Purpose Business Person. I can't remember which book it was. I think it was The On Purpose Person. I think it was the first one. And by the way, I took that and developed that same system of prioritizing when I work with buyers. So I ask them to write down randomly what they need and want in a house. Boop, just put it on a piece of paper. And then out of the first 2, which one would be most important to you to have that you couldn't live without? And they break their list down in half. I have them do it again till they come out with the top 5 to 6. And the house will find them when they have done that, because now they have focused on the things they really want and need in a house, not on that entire list of 30 things they think they want. So it's worked very well for buyers as well.
I know that you've kind of gave us a lot of recommendations for books, and we do have a book club. So Jackie, if it's not too much trouble, can you send me that list and I'll send it out to everybody who's on the call today, so that we haven't missed anything, because there's so many good reads that you just kind of like, this one's good, this one's good. It's like, we want to see them all.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, we're down to our last time. We went a little bit over, but of course we had a little glitch. I did record the ending. When we got back in, I did hit record. So I will send a link to the second half in case you want to review that part, or maybe there's somebody here that didn't quite make it back in. We will have that sent out to you today as well. But thank you so much, Jackie. We appreciate you being here today. And thank you for your patience with our little glitch. Then And you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Aloha.
Aloha, everyone.
Thank
and
you.
thank you.
Aloha.
Blessings.
Aloha, thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.